we know how many students are we expecting?
Ekaterina, how many are registered?
I think around 15.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just let me know when to start and I can start the presentation.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe we should just wait a couple of minutes, right? Because the thing is that the schedule is such that actually the class ends at 4 o'clock, and right now it's 4 o'clock. So hopefully there will be a few that will join us like within maybe 3 minutes or so.
Okay, no problem.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe, I don't know, some of the students who are there would have already some questions.
Yeah, before we start the presentation, feel free to ask us any questions.
Okay. Well, maybe, we could already start with some introductions saying that this program is a unique program for us because it offers very interesting opportunities because it's not just a double degree program, right? But it's a program that provides students with 2 degrees, but a bachelor and a master's degree from the Graduate School of Business and HEC, which is business school #1 in Europe, right? So the prestige is great. I think that, Gita, it seems to me that the students may not know, but the prestige of such schools in France, for example, is such that from what I heard, the employability rates are very high. And if you have graduated from such a school as HEC, it's like almost the job is guaranteed for you for life, right?
Well, I think it's exactly the case. We're very strong on the career development in general. So talking about right after graduating or even on the long-term perspective, as the alumni network is very strong and usually statistics shows that the career development on the long term as well is very successful for our alumni. So we have Alena today, that takes part of the program currently, and I think she can bring her own testimony about all the career events taking place on campus and everything happening.
Yeah, that's true. There is a huge career services network, and apart from career fairs, you also have the coaching sessions where you meet with experts who help you write the cover letter, your CV, and they can even do a mock interview for you, and a lot of other services are also available.
Have you been able to attend the Carrefour HEC, Alena, in October?
In January, there was a Carrefour.
There are many events. Yeah, I may be confused.
Yeah, I think in autumn there was consulting and finance Carrefours, the career fairs, but in January there was like a career fair for different other positions as well as consulting and finance. And I think I attended the consulting one and the one in January. It was quite nice, although to be honest, the majority of opportunities are in France and require French. So there is a good thing to know that if you want to work in France, you don't necessarily need to have French, but it's very important to have French for a good position, especially in consulting when you work with French clients.
Absolutely. I was going to complete because in consulting you meet like French clients and usually they require you to speak French. So most of our students that wants to go into consulting, sometimes they go back to their home countries or some go to English-speaking countries where French is not required. But for finance, if you want to go to M&A, for example, or to private equity, then it may be a bit more easier than consulting. We have a lot of students as well interested in the financial industry, then they just go to London. And I know that prestigious banks located in London do hire a lot of students from our school as well. Yeah, so opportunities are diverse, and we have alumni present all over the world. So either in France, English-speaking countries, Russia as well. We have quite a few alumni from the school that studied in Russia, or French students that actually decide to go to Russia, for example. So we also have what we call, waiting for the presentation, I can develop a bit more, local offices of alumni networks. So you would have an office, for example, in New York, in London, in Switzerland, and they organize in events, either gathering for personal, networking, or maybe a bit more professional networks to help each others and to bring each other's high. So I think that's a good opportunity. And staying in France for the gap year is also the opportunity to learn French. I mean, they take French classes for students, and then those that come back from a gap year in France, they come back with a higher level in French, and then, they start their second year of master with a stronger level. So it's also an opportunity to open up and to learn a new language. Mm-hmm. Elena, have you been able to take any language classes on campus?
Yeah, I was learning French since September. Although I must, of course, warn you that you should really put a lot of effort from your part, and it's not enough to just follow classes and you'll be speaking French perfectly. No, you need to focus on it. If your goal is to stay in France and to work in France, I don't think that my goal is to stay in France so far, but I'm eager to learn French. And I plan to do my internship at least for the first part of my gap year in France. And I hope I will learn it and advance my level of French.
I can reassure you that students that come back from a gap year in France, usually they come back with a higher level. Because, you're in a professional environment, it's different from the school. Yes. And get really to work in French.
So
should we wait a few minutes, or?
I think that maybe we should start, and then if anyone comes, joins in, okay. I think they will understand what we're talking about, because I think that.
Then we'll have the Q&A and we'll be able to complete later. Okay, so just start with the slides. So my name is Rita Fahim, and I'm in charge of recruitment at HEC Paris. So recruitment for all the masters, including the master in management, and also recruitment of students currently enrolled in Russia. So if you're interested in HEC Paris, I'm your first point of contact. So at HEC Paris, we do offer a certain number of programs. We have the master's programs, which are pre-experience programs, which means if you have in between 0 and 3 years of work experience, you are eligible to apply. So the master in management stands here within the pre-experience programs. If you have more than 3 years of experience, you cannot apply for these programs. But I guess it's not your case, as you are students. But we also offer other programs such as the summer school programs for students, for undergraduate students, PhD programs, we have MBAs, we have also programs dedicated for more advanced executives, for example, the executive certificates and executive masters. But today, main focus is the master's programs. Just a few numbers. So we're the first European business school. We have the first Master of Science in International Finance and the second Master in Management worldwide. We also have quite an international campus. You will obviously hear French on campus, but there are also a lot of students that do not speak French, and English is also very commonly used. We have around 105 nationalities on campus. So it's very, very rich. You will meet people coming from all over the world. We have a certain number of corporate partners, and we are also present all over the world in terms of alumni as well. So our students and graduates decide to do their internships and work all over the world and not only in France. In terms of teaching philosophy, so you will have a lot of classes, as Alena can testify maybe later. most of our classes, not all the classes, but most of them will be in small sizes. So you will be in classes with less than 50 students, and you'll be able to interact with the professor easier, but also with the rest of your mates. The great asset of HEC, I would say, is that it's very practical in terms of learning. So you will be working on business cases, on real-life company projects, but also you will have professors that are coming from the corporate environment to teach you, which brings, you know, a transparent eye on how the job is on a day-to-day basis, and it's not only theory. Alena, if you don't mind telling me, for example, an example of a business case that you've had the chance to work on, or anything related to company projects that you learned at HEC.
Yeah, actually, that's true that almost in all the course we are working with cases and with real cases of real companies. And if we will talk, for example, about my strategy course, which I'm taking right now, but we studied Coca-Cola, we studied Apple. We also do another course I study right now is company law, and my group project is about Theranos. I think you might heard about a biotech company who was involved in actually a big scam. You might Google it. It's an interesting case. My friends are working on Tesla issues, for example, and I think it broadens your outlook because you have to read a lot of news about what is happening right now, and that's important because you will always have an interesting topic to talk to other people, for example, and yeah, it broadens your outlook.
Well, thank you, Alena. And then within your second year of master, if you join the master in management, in your final year, you will get to work on a company project. So you will be with a company. Actually, I was a master in management student, and I worked with a very, I cannot say the name, but it's a Big Four firm on the banking sector. So it's also a chance to gain a practical experience, you know. And then you will have, of course, personal development programs, as Alena was saying before. She was referring to the Career Center, but also all the networking events that you have access to. So the Carrefour HEC, which gathers around 150 companies that are coming on campus, but also more specific career fairs, such as the consulting career fair, if you're interested in consulting. So we have companies such as McKinsey, BCG, and Bain, for example, coming on campus. I mean, even if it is true that you cannot work in consulting, or it may be a bit more complicated if you don't speak French, they still prepare you for interviews for consulting if you wish to take interviews in another country. So you'll have coaching sessions, for example, with coaches. And you would also have other networking events, such as the financial networking event and smaller events. We had a few weeks ago the Impact Career Fair with a few companies coming to talk about their possibilities in impact careers. And also campus social life. There are a lot of things happening on campus that I will get to present later. If you have any questions, as we're not many in the presentation, feel free to interrupt and to ask them. I'll be more than happy to answer.
You can also write in the chat and I will answer in the chat, for example.
Thank you, Alena. So for the Master in Management, in terms of nationalities, we have around 250 international students with around 40% of women. We're working on increasing that number because for us it's important to have, ladies on our on our promotions. The average age is 23 years old, and all academic backgrounds are eligible. In your case, more specifically business, but we will be in the same class than students coming from engineering background or scientific backgrounds. So there is a lot of diversity, and as you will be working on cases together, it will bring a lot of synergies on the outcome of your presentations. But there is also a diversity of backgrounds as in terms of nationalities. So there are a lot of students coming from Europe, from the Middle East, from Americas and Asia. So for the program structure, as I was saying, the Master in Management is taking place in two phases. You have a first year, which is a generalist phase, with a lot of diverse classes in law, for example, in finance. You will have accounting classes, marketing. So it's very diverse. And according to your interest, then you can decide to choose a specialization for your second year. In between the first and the second year, you have an optional gap year. So basically, it's the opportunity for you to do 2 long-term internships. This gap year is optional, but I would say that around 90% of the students decide to do it because it can help you really build your CV to pretend for maybe better job once you start applying on your second year of master. Also, I know some students, for example, that come back from their gap year. After their internship, they receive a full-time job offer. So by the time they come back on the following year, they already have a full-time job offer and they do not need to worry about application processes and interviews, etc. And after your second year of master, you will also have optional certificates that I will present you later in other slides. So in terms of specializations, you will have a lot of specializations. You can have access either to a specialization on campus or you can go on a double degree to one of our partner institutions. So you can either specialize in international finance if you're interested in M&A, corporate finance, private equity, markets, or strategic management if you want to work in consulting, either strategic consulting for big firms or maybe more specific consulting, specialized consulting or in-house consulting for a big group. And also we have other specializations either in digital, corporate finance, entrepreneurship. This one is a double degree with the École Polytechnique, which is a major school in France. But you have also international double degrees with St. Gallen University in Switzerland, with Yale School of Management, with MIT. It all depends about you and your interests. But keep in mind that you have these 2 options, either stay on campus or go to a partner institutions. So after your M2 classes ends, you will have a certificate. This one is optional for Master in Management students, but it's also an opportunity to learn a practical experience with a company. You can apply to the certificate that you want. It doesn't need to be linked to your specialty of second year. So it could either be energy and finance with Société Générale, which is a leading French bank, mergers and acquisition, digital transformation, and it's around 15 extra credits and 100 hours of classes. It's either on campus or you can go to companies' offices as well. You would have HEC professors, but also corporates from this specific institution teaching you. So it's very practical as well. For the career paths, it's very diverse. We have different perspectives and we have alumni present in every sector and industry and in every region all over the world. In terms of average salaries, I wouldn't, stick to these numbers because they all depend about the country where you will be working, but also the industry. Salary in marketing is not a salary in the financial sector. It's very different. And also we have a 99% of our graduates that do find a full-time job, worst case scenario, 3 months after graduating. But a lot of them do find a job even before finishing their classes. So campus and student life. Maybe Alena, if you don't mind telling us maybe a bit more about this section before I continue the presentation. Do you already know what you want to do for your gap year? Do you have a specific career project for later?
Given the fact that I was studying business informatics during my bachelor, I want to somehow continue to be involved in this sphere, in tech, in data. My minor in bachelor was data science, so I really would like to work in innovation, maybe as a business analyst. I think I can also see myself in consulting, mostly in the digitalization part. And right now I'm applying for gap year, and during the gap year, students are doing internships. And internship are actually quite different from a full-time position, especially in terms of salary. So for students, I might a little bit warn you that you should not expect a very high salary in terms of during your internship, but it gives you experience. And what I've learned that internship is a big thing in France. It's very common, and there are a lot of opportunities for internships in all the companies, in almost all the companies. And you really do some kind of work. You are responsible for some kind of business during an internship, not just writing emails and bringing coffee to somebody. According to the reviews of other students, what I've heard, internship is a great experience. And for example, today I will have an interview for my gap year internship. I don't have any offers yet, but I hope I will have it today, maybe.
And then I wish you all the great of luck for your interview.
Thank you very much.
Then just to move to the campus and student life, so we're located in Juillan-Josas, which is not in Paris, it's nearby Paris, and I don't recommend, as an alumni of the school, to live in Paris, because at least for your first year of master's, it's better to be closer, to your classes. And also everything is happening on campus, either career events, companies presentations, you have all the facilities. You have a canteen where you can eat, you have a gym, you have tennis courts, football courts, all the sports club and student societies are happening on campus. And you will also have all your friends living on campus as well, at least most of them. So in terms of experience, so as I was saying, we're located in a wooded campus close to Paris, but it's in the nature. You will have shuttles that are going to Paris directly. In around 25 minutes, you can be in Paris. And also you can take public transports if you wish to go to Paris. We have more than 130 student societies. So if you're interested in drama, in arts, in anything, you can find something related to your interests. We also have more professional student societies, such as consulting student societies, finance student society. We have a club dedicated to jobs in the career sector, which is in the public sector, which is new this year. So either, these student societies or sports club, if you're interested in sports. We have a sailing sport club. We have students that go horsing. We have access to a swimming pool, not on campus, but at École Polytechnique. They have dedicated sessions for HEC Paris students. And I use as a student to go there on a weekly basis. Also, I really recommend, if you join HEC, to take part of student societies, because they're a good way, to make friends and also to network with students that are not part of your program and that can bring a strong asset to you personally, but also in the future in terms of eye-opener in careers perspectives. Alena, I don't know if you're part of any student club this year.
Oh, yes, I am. According to the sport part, I'm doing climbing here and I really like it. Yes. Sport is actually a mandatory course during your first half of the year, but I liked my climbing classes so much that I continue doing it during the second semester because it's super fun. And in terms of more academical clubs, I am in 180 consulting degrees. Mm-hmm. So it's a consulting student association who works on projects that have, we work for companies doing some impactful projects. For example, I was working for a company in Rwanda who are in charge of providing a water access to people. And we were building a dashboard for them so that they could check water losses and track how much water goes through the pipe. So on the one hand, I was working in an international team, and we all developed our data skills. And on the other hand, I think we had a great experience helping real people with their real problem, and it makes you feel super great and powerful when you work on something that really matters for people, for anybody else in another part of the world. And another good thing to mention is that we were during our project, we were mentored by consultants from BCG. So we had regular meetings with real professionals who were evaluating our solution, who were helping us, giving us advice and feedback, how we can make our solution better and how can we be more professional. And actually, it's in HEC, all the students' projects, all the student clubs projects are very, very professional, and you don't feel like you're a student, even though you are a student. You really feel like a little professional in the real world, and that's a good experience before you go to the career life.
Yeah, I would say that it's the perfect bridge between the academic and professional world. So they will really try to make you work on real life projects during the whole duration of your studies. So by the time you start applying, you are already ready and you can start being effective right away. And also for interviews, it can be much helpful if you already worked on consulting projects and interacted with consultants in advance. And it all starts very early once you start HEC. All these events are taking place quite quickly. And then I will present the application process, and which is quite specific for you as we have a partnership with HSE University. It's a bit easier than the rest of the students. So it's a real opportunity, you know, that is worth taking, because you will see, but there are some specificities. I will present, and then Alina maybe can take us through her application process, her experience, how were her interviews, etc. Okay, Alina, I will start the presentation. So what we'll be looking for is first the academic excellence, of course, so your grades. If you have done any internship or extracurricular activities such as volunteering or student societies, it's good to mention them on your CV or in your essay questions. It's not mandatory, but as I say, it's additional assets to your application. Also, your motivation to join HEC, if you know anyone in the school, for example, if you have a specific professional project and can show us how the master can help you achieve your goals, it's good to mention on your application. And finally, your cross-cultural sensitivity. By this, I mean any international exposure that you've had, any academic exchange internationally, any international languages that you're speaking, any international experience is good. As I was saying, it's not mandatory, but anything that can show us are you able to integrate in an international environment will be a plus for your application. So what would you ask you is first, you would apply to HSE saying that you are interested in HEC Paris for your 4th year of bachelor, okay? And then once you apply to HSE, they will make a presentation. And then my teams from HEC and HSE team will be contacting each other, and they will give us the names of the students that were pre-selected. And by then, once you're pre-selected, you will be able to apply through HEC Paris platform. And after that, once you apply, if you are selected, you will be invited for interviews. And after the interviews, you will receive your final admission. I know this is, you know, a tough process, but it's worth going through. And I would say that one of the greatest assets is that you don't need to take a management test, which is a GMAT or GRE, and that all the other students do not apply in through a partnership need to present to apply for this master. So this management test can be a bit time consuming as it requires, you know, a few months of preparation, and you don't need to take this one. Also, in terms of application fees, you won't have any application fees, so that's good. And you will only need to present us your degree certificates, which is not your case because you haven't obtained your degree. So in that case, you present your current or enrollment certificate. And after that, your official academic transcripts with your GPA, a one-page resume with all your experiences, and also an English language proficiency exam. So you can either choose between a TOEFL or an IELTS. for your application. Please note that you can present other exams such as the TOEIC or the Cambridge, but in that case, we would ask you to retake a TOEFL once you join HEC, because there is graduation requirements in terms of English test requirements. And after that, you would need to provide 2 online recommendations letters. One of them needs to be academic at least. So you can either provide 2 academic recommendations, 1 academic and 1 professional, but not 2 professional references. And you don't need to provide a motivational letter, because once you start your application, you will need to develop responses to essay questions that are there to show your motivation. Alena, if you don't mind, just maybe telling more about your application, your experience through the process, maybe briefly.
Yes, sure. So there are 3 issues I would like to mention. Yeah. First, English. It was exactly my case. I didn't have IELTS when I applied, but I have Cambridge exam, and it was no problem. I was accepted. And then in December this year, I took TOEFL exam at HEC, which was quite easy for me. I took a few days to prepare, to know the structure, but I had no problems. I passed it with the first attempt. Secondly, yes, the 2 main parts during the HEC application is essays and your interview. And when you write an essay, I would suggest you not to hesitate to show it to your friend or to somebody who can help you both with English part and can give you advice on does your opinions and justification make sense. Maybe this person can give you advice. It's absolutely normal. That's what I did. I gave it to my peer, and she really helped me. I hope it matters. It mattered. And during the interview, you should maybe convince that you are ready to be in an international environment. For example, I was asked about my Erasmus experience, and a big part of my interview was dedicated to Erasmus. And it was actually nice because my interviewer did her Erasmus as well. And we exchanged how we both watched Eurovision during the Erasmus. It was very, like, it connected us better, I think. And at the same time, you should speak about your professional goals. It's okay if you don't know if you want to be a consultant or anybody else. It's totally fine if you don't understand what you want to do, but at least you need to think about it, try to analyze your profile and understand with your profile what can you suit in the future, and just explain what in your opinion is good for you and what are the options you would like to try. Something like this.
Yeah, I mean, for the master in management, we have 2 options. I can see both students arriving who still are unsure about the professional project and they are being very transparent about it. But there are students who are already quite sure about what they want to do, and it's also okay. And then they can say, okay, I would like to join the master in management and specialize in this major, because they have access to all the majors in advance. It's totally fine. We also have other students that are coming. They say, I want to take the time during my M1, I want to take internships, and then maybe decide according to my first, experiences. It's really up to you. And also in terms of professional project, you don't need to be very specific, but it's also, as Alena was saying, it's good to think more or less, to know where you're going more or less. And also try to connect the master at HEC with your past experience at HEC University and your past internship experiences, and show us how it can help you, to achieve your goals. It needs to be, in a good sequence. Also, one of the things you may face in the interview is your leadership abilities. Feel free to think about this in advance, because if you've done any internship or you've been part in a difficult situation, it's good to give concrete example about how you being a great leader, how you manage the difficulties, how you overcome them, what you have done, and then what were the consequences. You know, there is a sequence called the STAR: situation, task, action, and results. And it's good to use that STAR thinking in, giving examples in your interviews. And I would finish by please, there isn't a bigger mistake that do not, preparing questions in advance for the interviewer. So make sure to prepare 2 or 3 questions to the interviewer, because they will definitely ask you at the end. And it's, it's good to leave a good impression with questions that are prepared. You can either have these questions in mind as a backup option, or maybe during the discussion in the interview, you have a question come into your mind, and then maybe you can leave it to the end of the interview. So for this year, application deadlines are April 20th for HEC Paris. So you need to make sure to communicate in advance to your school. Right after this presentation, you can do so to get more information about the internal deadlines. And then you would receive your admissibility results in May 12th. Admissibility means you're invited for interviews or not. And then within the next few days, you will get to choose your interview slots and then take your interviews and receive your final admission results in June 2nd. So before you start your application, contact the international office of your home university for pre-selection. And then once you have been declared eligible by your home university, you can start filling your application at HEC. You start by creating an account, and then you select master's programs and select Master in Management Grande École and only international partners pre-selected candidates. So this way we know that you don't need to provide a management test and pay the application fees. And you select your school. So in your case, you choose HSE University and you complete your application form. For the interview tips, as I was saying before, so just try to prepare. They are all on remote, so make sure all your technology work in advance. Dress like you mean business, like you were taking a real interview. Try to be on time. By on time, I mean even maybe earlier. So if there's another connection issue or something happening, it's better to connect 10 or 15 minutes in advance. Accept the invitation in advance. So this way we know that you confirmed. And also be ready in terms of homework. By this, I mean contacting alumni if you know any, or maybe by using LinkedIn. We also have a platform called Unibuddy that you can use. I will type it on the chat later, maybe. And this platform is very useful because you can chat with current students of all the programs at HEC, including the Master in Management, if you need any advice for your application or if you have any question. And be ready for questions about anything on your CV or in your essay questions, because the interviewer will have your CV and your essay questions under the eyes, and they can ask about anything. So be ready to develop and to give examples about anything that you've mentioned in your applications. So the tuition fees for next intake will be the total of 20 to 100 euros for the first year of master. Same thing for the second year of master. And then if you take an optional gap year, there's an additional 2,750 euros. But additionally, you need to account your living expenses, which are around 1,000 euros, and they cover housing on campus. If you live on campus, I think a room is around 500 euros. And then you have also the food, insurance, and everything else included in this 1,000 euros. So if you are international students, you will be eligible for HEC Paris Excellence Scholarship. So once you apply, once you apply to HEC and you are accepted, you won't need to apply for this scholarship. Okay, so all admitted students' profiles will be reviewed, and they will only be contacted if they received a scholarship. So there is the HEC Excellence Foundation Scholarship, but you also have the Women High Potential Scholarship, and they can rise up to 12,000 to 15,000 euros respectively. So within 2 weeks after your admission results, you will receive the amount if you've received a scholarship. This way, you won't need to confirm your spot at HEC before getting the information about the scholarship. Elena, have you received any scholarship in your case?
Yeah, I was nominated for Women's Potential Scholarship.
Okay. So that's good to know. There are financial solutions. We are aware that the fees are consequent, but according to the situation of each candidate, we can maybe look a bit closer on a more dedicated manner according to the financial situation of your family, etc. But if you ask for need-based scholarship, you would need to provide some proofs of revenues of your family, etc. So, I mean, if you have any extra questions, anything about the application process, anything you'd like to know, you can contact me on admissionsmasters@hec.fr. And now we can take the questions if you wish. Feel free.
Maxime asked the question in chat that he does not have any certificate of English.
Yeah.
So maybe you can ask your question, Maxime.
Okay.
Does I need to pass the exam before the first deadline of selection? Yeah, right?
So you would indeed need to provide an English test. If you have taken a test in the 5 years before next intake, you can apply with it, even if it's old. But it needs to be an IELTS and Cambridge, or a TOEFL or a TOEIC, either one of these 4 tests. You don't have anyone from these tests?
No, I don't have anyone.
Yeah, maybe it's worth it to register and to take one of these exams by keeping in mind the application deadlines. The only thing that I was talking about is that if you present a TOEFL or an IELTS, then you won't need to retake a TOEFL once you join HEC like Elena did. But if you present a Cambridge or a TOEIC, then for admission, it's fine. But once you join HEC, then to be able to graduate, they would ask you to retake a TOEFL exam that is organized by our school. The first attempt is taking place in December and it's free. And you have 2 attempts. If you have less than 600 on the TOEFL ITP, then you would need to retake it on March and you would need to have at least 600. So if you haven't taken any exam, then maybe it's better to register either for the TOEFL or the IELTS now, so you don't need to retake it when you join the school, but it's up to you.
Yeah, thank you for answering the question and for presentation. Yeah.
You're welcome. Any other question? Okay, do you have any other English certificates? So there was a comment.
Yeah, it was my question.
It was my question.
So the other students, if you have a question, feel free to ask. As Elena and I are here in the same time.
While our students are thinking about their questions, I would like to, well, firstly, thank you for your presentation and for joining us today. And I do have a question actually to Alina, Yelena, is whether you're enjoying your time at HEC Paris and why you decided to take part in the program in the first place.
Okay, I think I should start with the question, why am I here? Well, during my, I decided to join during my Erasmus experience. So I was in the Netherlands when I saw the possibility to apply, and my Erasmus experience was so great that I understood I need to do my master's in Europe. And when I saw an opportunity to go to HEC, I decided just like, why not? To be honest, I've never heard about the school before, but after I did my research, I realized that it's a very good school. It's the top ranking school, and it actually matters if you are like the rank of school of a business school really matters when you do your applications. And a lot of companies look at it, business management, great people. I applied and I'm here, and I'm happy that I'm here. And experience, my current experience is quite tough because combining 2 degrees is not as easy as I thought. You should follow some courses in Russia at the same time, and you're working on your thesis. And I do feel that sometimes I have a more tough schedule than somebody else. However, my biggest asset here is my network and people I meet here who inspire me. And I think it's really the best part of HEC that people are coming from all over the world and from different backgrounds and with different ambitions. Somebody wants to go back to one country, somebody wants to go to America, somebody wants to stay in Paris, to London. And a lot of people are focused on their goals, on what they want to do in life, and they like make you work as well, make you also want to find your ideal path, make you want to climb the rock and achieve what you want to achieve.
Okay, I see. Well, sounds great, but I do believe it that it's probably tougher than like a standard dual degree program or an exchange program, but I'm pretty sure that you will achieve your final goal.
Thank you very much. And thank you for helping me during my application.
Anytime, anytime. Do we have any other questions from our students? Well, if not, I believe that we can always give your contacts to our students, Gita, right? And also Alina's contacts. And then our students will be able to ask questions directly, and especially those who weren't able to join us today. So if there's something else you'd like to add, or I don't know.
I would just like to thank you all for being here, and we're more than happy to have this partnership with very talented students such as Elena. We're very happy to have her. She's a very good fit for HEC and a very good representative of your school. And we're expecting having more candidates as Elena for next year.
Okay, we'll try our best to nominate only the best students.
Thank you for your great work.
Thank you. Well, thank you once again for your great presentation. And it was really, really nice to see you both once again. And well, let's keep in touch.
Well, have a great day. Bye-bye, everyone.
You too. Bye.
Bye, Elena.